Alright, so I'm going to show how to open up and disassemble this HP Pavilion laptop model 15-CS0085CL. If this is like the 15CS0075CL, this bottom cover is a little bit tricky to remove. So we're going to use a suction cup, and we're going to use a PH1 or JS1 screwdriver. Right, and then I'm also going to use my fingernails, of course. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is remove these two rubber pieces. So I like to start up on these upper corners here because the screws are under there and it's a little bit easier to remove from that side. So I just get my fingernail in the gap between there. Okay, this is going to be a little bit tricky just because the adhesive is kind of strong, but there we go. Peel that off. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing with the other one. I like to keep these also in order just so that I can put them back the same way I removed them. Alright, so here you can actually see on the bottom here the little circles from the adhesive residue, and then I try and put them back the same way. You can also see the printing from the numbers of the screw, this imprint here. So this actually shows the measurement. It's a M2.5 by 6. That means that the screw is 6 millimeters long and 2.5 millimeters wide. Alright, so here you can see the screw is longer than it is wide. It's longer than it is wide. Alright, again, keep the screws in order because they can be or are different size, shape, and lengths. The way I do that, I put the flat side like this on my desk in the pattern I remove them. So you got two like that and then one there, so I just put them like that on my desk. Alright, if this video helps you, make sure to like, subscribe, and share my channel so that others can find out how to upgrade and repair their devices. Alright, looks like on the bottom here we're going to have to switch to a PH0 or JS0 screwdriver. And we'll remove these silver screws. If this video helps you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to my channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. I actually do these repairs for a living, but as I continue to put out more videos, more people are able to learn how to fix their devices on their own and open them up. It looks like they stripped this screw, so this one I have to use quite a bit of force to get the screw out. Okay, so there we go. Alright, so if this is like the other one, we're most likely going to use a suction cup and start from the back. You might not actually need the suction cup if you can actually get in the back here. As you can see, there's like this gap between here and the other piece. So I get my fingernails in there and then I use my thumb to kind of push on it here and do that. But again, you can also use a suction cup and like a pry tool or something. But if you use a suction cup, it makes it a little bit easier. So let's see here, it's kind of stuck here. So I'm pulling up with the suction cup and pulling up with my fingernails on the back. I think they worked on this before because it has like a weird bend in the case here. But wow, why is this one stuck so strong compared to the other one I worked on? Okay, I don't know, this one's much stronger. Let's try with the suction cup and see if we can pull it apart. I don't know, it doesn't want to come out. It's dropping gunk everywhere. But this piece doesn't seem to want to come out. So let's see, I'm going to put this in my lap. Hopefully it's still in view of the camera. Here you can see it's kind of separating here. Alright, so I'm going to try and use my fingernails some more to do this. And try and pull this apart here. Wow, that's really stuck. Okay, so that one doesn't seem to want to come out. Let's go ahead and try using the suction cup on like the sides or something. So we pulled here and I heard that I hear some clips releasing inside. There are two clips I think in the middle. So let's see if we can somehow release those clips and undo this. Here you can hear it's unlatching. Okay. But as you can see, none of this case wants to come apart. It's being very difficult. Let's go ahead and try and get in the gap on the side here. As you can see, it's forming a gap. Let's go ahead and just keep working our way all over, I guess. Wow, this thing is not going anywhere. Okay, we're probably going to have to use a metal pry tool on this one. This one looks to be a lot more difficult than the other one I was working on. I'm probably going to end up breaking my suction cup just trying to separate this cover. Let's actually check if there's some screws hidden underneath the bottom pieces here. Sometimes there are. I doubt it, but might as well check. Okay, no screws there. So I guess it's just being difficult. Alright, let's see. Usually we can't lift it from the bottom here because it has like these clips, you just have to like flip it over. But yeah, it looks like this is kind of being a pain. So, oh, there we go. We finally got one of the clips undone. Once you get that, then you can kind of go ahead and pull the rest of the clips out. So here you can see we're getting these clips out. I don't know why it's easier all of a sudden, but go ahead and pull that, and same thing. Again, I'm using my fingernails here to kind of pull it up, and I'm using my thumb to help push it down while I use the suction cup to help as well. So let's go ahead and pull that. There we go. As you can see, it's coming out now. So I don't know why before it was having such a tough time. So this is how it's supposed to pop up. Once you get the back here all popped up like that, we're going to work our way over to these sides. So I'm going to pull this up, and we're going to try and like push this side down, so that way the clip basically it curls the case like this, and it pulls it inward slightly. So just like this, and then we're going to use this part to help lift it. Okay, so we're pushing this, and then we're using that to pull it in. Okay, just like that, and we're still again flexing it. I'm using my fingers under here to pull up, pushing down here, so it curves the case like that to make it shorter, so that it disengages those clips. And there we go, also pulling down here. All right, we're going to do the same thing with the other side. Let's go over here, same thing, pushing this in and doing that. Okay, grab that, pull it up while we're kind of flexing the case inwards, and there we go. Okay, so now that we got all the sides and the back out, the front one, again, we just flip this up and it should come out. There we go. All right, so the customer was saying that their hard drive was being detected like on and off. This connection looks perfectly fine, so most likely their hard drive is dead, but we will see. All right, so here you got the battery. Let's zoom in a bit. So the battery model number, HT03XL. All right, they also have the HP spare part number here, L11119-855. Hopefully you guys can read that, it's really faint. All right, the battery is very easy to replace. There's 4 screws. I'm not gonna do it because I don't need to, but anyways, well, let's just do it anyway since we're gonna take the hard drive out. So let me make sure they turned off their computer, of course. Yep, it's off. All right, so this customer's computer looks the same as the one I'm going to be doing that has a liquid spill on their keyboard, but this one has 2 sticks of RAM. All right, so I switched back to the PH1 or JS1 screwdriver. I'm going to remove this one screw. Then there's another screw here. All right, again, keep all these screws in order. Then you got 2 screws down here. Once you do that, we can pull the battery out. All right, and this battery also acts as the BIOS or CMOS battery, so keep that in mind. If you pull this out, your BIOS is going to be reset. That's why I usually don't like taking this battery out unless I have to. Anyways, let's go ahead and pull this up. It comes out just like that, and there you go. So here you can see the trackpad cable and the keyboard ribbon cable. You also have the keyboard backlight cable. I'm going to put the battery back in so it doesn't reset his BIOS. Hopefully it will keep the BIOS setting, even though I took it out since I only did it for a few seconds. Excuse me, my throat's getting like clogged. There we go. All right, so we'll tighten this all up. Okay, all these cables are basically the same, how you remove them. So if you want, if I don't show it or you're confused, just watch some of my other videos. They're basically the same thing. Let's go ahead and remove the RAM right now. So the RAM, you pull these 2 tabs to the side, comes out at an angle like that, and here you go. It's PC4 2400T. You can put any RAM PC4 2400T that you want. You can get 2 8 gig sticks, you can get 2 16 gig sticks. Make sure it's PC4 2400T. If you want, you can experiment and get different speed RAMs, but if you do that, keep in mind sometimes it might not work and your computer might not boot. All right. Also, after removing the battery, when you turn it on, it will take a while to boot. That's fine. It'll tell you that the BIOS was reset, so yeah. If you're going to mess with the LCD LVDS connector, or if you don't know what you're doing, it's always a good idea, remove the battery and then press and hold the power button for 15 seconds before continuing. It's very important if you remove this connector. This is the LCD or LVDS connector. If you don't, you can burn out the backlight circuit or damage something on the motherboard or the screen. All right, you also have the speaker connector right there, okay? Everything else seems to be soldered to the board there. You got the fan connector here. These kinds of connectors, I just grab the wings with my fingernails, and then I kind of just wiggle the connector and eventually it will pop out. Again, I'm not going to pull that out. These kinds of connectors, they all have these little wings that you just flip them up, and then once you flip that tab up, you can pull the connector out. We are going to take the hard drive one out, so I'll demonstrate that on one. And you also have a M.2 SSD here. This looks like a SATA SSD. They didn't label it on here, but it looks like a SATA SSD. I'm assuming it supports PCIe NVMe because they have a regular spinning drive here, so it doesn't make sense that they would buy this to put when they can get a SATA hard drive of this usually for cheaper. Alright, so anyways, let's go ahead and remove the hard drive. So it looks like there's 2 screws holding this thing in place. So let's go ahead and remove the one screw here. Looks like they tried to remove this. I think they damaged these screws. It's hard to remove these things. So, all right, let's remove these 2 screws. Now we're going to pop this tab up here. After you do that, you can go ahead and pull this little blue cable out. You might have to wiggle it a little. All right, and then we're just gonna lift the hard drive out just like this. So the hard drive comes out like this. I am going to be testing this hard drive, so I'm gonna take this little bracket off. So this one is just held in place with friction using these little rubber nubs that stick out. And then the other side has 2 screws holding it. So we're gonna take those screws out and we're gonna set that aside. Okay, this is a 2.5-inch SATA hard drive. You can put any 2.5-inch SATA hard drive in here that you want. If you want, you can upgrade this to an SSD. And yeah, if your computer doesn't have this SSD, you can either put this type of SSD or one of these, and it will speed up your computer a lot. Okay, so now we're going to remove this connector here. I just get my fingernail in this little gap here, and then I use the back of my nail to kind of like pry it out like that against the hard drive. And then, yeah, so just like this, get underneath. Oh, this one doesn't have much room to pry under there. Let's go from this side then. So we'll go on this side and we'll pry that. Here you can see we popped that out. Let's try from this side, the top now, and pry that. And there we go. And there we got the hard drive. There's a SATA connector off the hard drive. I'm going to test this hard drive on my computer by plugging it in with a SATA to USB adapter. But yeah, we'll set that aside for now. Here you can see the M.2 SSD. There's just one screw there. When you take that out, it pops up slightly like the RAM, and then you just pull it out. Very easy to remove. Just make sure you don't just yank it straight up. You want to pull it back this way, okay? All right, you got the SD card slot reader here. I'm going to make sure this cable looked a little crooked. It's probably because they messed with the inside hard drive. All right, then you got the DC jack connector here. This is for the charge port. So same thing, grab the wings and you just wiggle it as you pull it out, and it goes all the way here underneath the hinge. So if you need to replace the charge port, you will have to undo these hinge screws. And what I find that works is you open the laptop slightly, but you want to be careful. And then after you just open it a little, it'll prop the hinge up, close the laptop, and then you can get underneath the hinge and pull it up by hand. All right, you got these 2 USB ports also on a separate board. And this speaker, the wire for this speaker actually goes underneath the entire thing and then connects with the other speaker here. So these 2 connections are right there. All right, then you got the wireless card here. The antennas you pull up by the tail, just pull it straight up and you can disconnect those. And then there's one screw here to take it out. Same thing like the RAM, it pops up and then you just pull it back. And that's pretty much all there is inside here. I'm gonna test the hard drive real quick and then we're gonna reassemble this laptop. All right, so I'll see you guys in a bit. I'm gonna test this off screen and yep, I'll be back. All right, so I'm back. So the controller actually was going bad on that hard drive. So when I connected it, actually even like, I don't know if you can see that, it burned my hand. It's like slightly more pink there. So I was like trying to keep the temperature down so to see if I could pull off the data, but it didn't work. So anyways, I'm gonna put this hard drive connector back in here. All right, just get it lined up. It is going to be rattling around inside, but should be okay. The customer is probably going to get an SSD or something to replace that drive, and hopefully they'll be able to get their data. Otherwise, they're basically going to have to redo their stuff. So this bracket, I guess this bracket I can actually put back in. So I'll actually put this bracket back on, but the rubber one I won't be able to put back. Let's see, was it going this way or this way? Or this way. Wait. It goes, okay, it goes this way? Wait, what? Okay, it can only go one direction, and it doesn't go that way because that's too high, so it goes this way. Sorry, I was flipping it upside down. There we go. Okay, so we're gonna put these screws back on the computer, switching back to the PH0 or PH1 or JS1 screwdriver. I don't know if I should tighten these screws too much because, again, whoever worked on this before, they stripped them out. So if I tighten it too tight, it's going to be hard for the customer to get it back out. So I'm just loose finger tightening it to where it just stops turning. I'm not twisting it too hard beyond that. All right, just like that. So this rubber piece will go in like this. But again, now there's nothing holding it. So I don't know. Let me actually use a piece of tape. Maybe I can use some tape and just tape it in there. It won't stay in place there. So I'd have to like tape it down something like this. I don't know. And then we got these two screws that are supposed to go for this metal bracket. So, okay, let's do it this way. So I'll take these two screws. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this over on itself to make like a release tab. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the screws like this. Okay, and I'm going to actually fold it over diagonally like this. Okay, so with this little folded over part, now you have a little release tab here to take this out if you need to. And then I fold it over this side to make a release tab as well. And I'm just going to tape this in here. Okay, be careful with that little piece. And that should hold it up well enough that that piece will stay in there. Okay, now let's go ahead and get the bottom cover and we will put this back on. So let's zoom back out. Okay, so we're gonna put this at an angle like that. Okay, and then we're gonna swing it down. So you wanna make sure that the bottom parts here are lined up right. Looks like it's not lining up right here. Okay. Like that. If it doesn't work, you might have to physically click it. It's like having some issues. There we go. Okay, so we'll click in the sides here. There we go. All right, once you got the bottom and the sides clicked in, everything should all line back up, and you can go ahead and click all of this back in. All right, and go ahead and push this in as well. Let's see, where's the clip? Clip is there. Okay, there we go. I don't know if I should have snapped this all back in because my customer is going to have to take it back out. Maybe I'll snap out the back part a little bit just to make it easier for the customer when they have to do it. But yeah, let's go ahead and put these screws back in, and that's pretty much it. Hopefully this video helped you guys. Again, if it did, make sure to like, subscribe, and share my channel with others. If it helped you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little bit to the channel so that I can continue making these videos for a living. But other than that, you're welcome to stay while I put back the rest of the screws. Let's go ahead and get these rubber pieces back in. Okay, there we go. And we're going to switch back over to the PH0 or JS0 screwdriver. Again, you have to use these two different size screwdrivers. If you use the wrong size, then you can actually strip the screws, and then you won't be able to get the hard drive back in. So I'll pop out a tiny bit on the back just so it's started, so when my customer, if they need to do it, then they can. If not, then they can bring it back. Again, this screw is kind of stripped there. They must have used like a larger screwdriver or a too small of a screwdriver. All right, let's try and pop the back out again a little bit. So let's go ahead and pull this. Okay, it helps to pull more from down here than up here, because then it helps bow the case out like that. So that's a trick. All right, and I'm getting my fingernail under there. Oops. Wow, that one's stuck real strong. Okay. Yeah, okay. I'll just pop that out a little bit to get it started for my customer. This stuff is holding on super strong. There we go. Okay, so we'll leave that out, and that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Let's drop this. Bye.